Do you want to get a coffee? Would you like to go to dinner? How about some ice cream?
Oh, you sound like an American. Listeners, how many times have you faced such an issue? Some American has spoken something and you find it difficult to comprehend. My name is Piyush Bhatia and I am the founder and CEO of BM English Speaking Institute. With me, we have Vishal Lazarus, who is a voice and accent trainer and also a trainer with BM English Speaking. Hi Vishal.
Hello, nice to be back.
Thank you Vishal. You are listening to this show on how to improve voice and accent. And today's episode, yes you guessed it right, is how to understand US, UK and Australian accent. So hi Vishal. Listeners would like to first understand or would like to review the definition of accent.
Excellent. So as we had discussed in the earlier podcasts, accent is a way a person or a group puts emphasis on different parts or different words in a sentence. Accent basically comes from the different groups MTI. So in any language, the accent is very different. That's what an accent is.
So that brings us to the next question. How many kinds of accents are there in this world?
There are many accents in this world. As you know, each country has got its own different influence coming into the English language. So the accents are basically innumerable. You can't count them. However, the basic three accents that we usually hear are the American, the British, and the Australian accent.
So Vishal, can I really learn an American accent, an Australian accent, or any accent for that matter?
Yes, absolutely. Anybody can learn how to speak in an accent. It's not something very difficult to do. However, it takes the right training, patience, talent, and the right technique, which we will discuss.
Oh, so you're going to share some very important secrets and techniques to understand different accents, right?
Yes, some of the secrets to understanding an accent will be shared with you today.
So let's come to the first accent, which is the American accent, the US accent as we are discussing. So can you throw some light on how does one understand US accent?
Oh, absolutely. So as far as the American accent is concerned, we are constantly exposed to this accent because we watch all of our TV programs that we watch in English. They're all in American English, right? So we're constantly exposed to this. However, if you listen to an everyday American, it's a little difficult to understand what they say. The basic reason is because they use a lot of reductions. Reductions as in they join all the words in the sentence to make one long word, like you heard in the beginning. So, would you like to get a coffee is actually would you like to get a coffee. Would you becomes would you, like to becomes liked, get a becomes getter. So, first and most important, we have to get used to reductions.
Great. That sounds interesting.
Also, next, you can never depend on slow English. So don't expect the Americans to talk slowly. They talk very fast, very quickly. In order to understand that, we have to practice. The way we practice this is we have to start a practice that is called audio flood. Now, everybody must be wondering, what is audio flood? Audio flood simply means flooding your ears with that particular accent. So, you need to pick up from certain resources that we will share with you later on. You need to pick up only the American accent and continuously listen to it. You see, our ears are tuned to listening to a certain accent. And that's why we find it difficult to pick up certain terms and phrases that the Americans use. The more we listen to it, the easier it will become for us to understand everything that the Americans say. And continue practicing your English.
Oh wow, that's great. Then, how easy or difficult it is to understand the UK accent, the British accent?
The British accent is actually one of the easiest ones to understand. Unlike the Americans, the British do not compress their sentences. They say everything word for word. Their words are extremely crisp. The only thing that we have to look out for while trying to understand the British accent is they tend to pop everything that they say. So when they say the letter P, it's not P, it's P. right? Were. So they tend to pop. British accent is one of the easiest. In order to start practicing the British accent, there are two things you must do. One is you must start again audio flood the same way. And two, watch any James Bond movie, for example, the movie Skyfall, because everybody in that is British. They have a British accent. Watch it. Watch it with your eyes closed. Try and understand what they're saying.
Yeah. Vishal, I think since we are speaking in the Indian context, we also speak like Britishers, right? So it's, I think, very close to, our accent is kind of close to British accent.
Absolutely. Ours is the closest accent to the British accent. Of course, we have to remember they ruled us for 400 years.
Oh, yes. So, how does one go about understanding or developing an understanding of an Australian accent, Vishal?
So, the Australian accent is actually one of the little more difficult accents to understand. The Australian accent is a mix of British and the accent of the people who were already living in Australia, who were called Aboriginals. So their accent is a little difficult to understand, simply for the reason that they will never use the word O. They will never pronounce it as O. They always have an E at the end, so it becomes O, right? So if they have to say hello, they will not say hello. They will say hello. So to understand the Australian accent is a little difficult. Again, to understand them, audio flood yourself with people who speak with the Australian accent. For example, actors and actresses from Hollywood. But don't watch their movies. Listen to their interviews. In the movies, they will speak with an American accent. But in interviews, they will speak with a pure Australian accent. Examples, Nicole Kidman. She's a very famous Hollywood actress. You can listen to an interview from her. Number 2, Chris Hemsworth, who acts as Thor in the various movies, the Avengers, and he's got the Thor series. Listen to his interviews. Hugh Jackman, very, very famous Australian actor. So listening to these would help you. A couple of Australian TV serials that you can watch on YouTube. One is called Home and Away. The second one is called Packed to the Rafters. These are pure Australian. So audio flood yourself with these.
Oh, wow. So you've given a host of movie clipping names and film actor names. So I think listeners are going to find it very useful. I've also heard from some people that Australians use some very different words in their accent. Is it true?
Yes, Australians do. They have a tendency to avoid or they do not pronounce the letter R. So, for example, the word doctor that we usually say becomes doctor, A. The word brother becomes brother. So, they have that one tendency. The next one, they tend to shorten words. So, we spoke about how Americans shorten entire sentences. The Australians tend to shorten words. So, for example, the word afternoon. An Australian will never say afternoon. They'll say avro. A-V-R-O. So they'll never wish you good afternoon. They'll say good avro. Okay. The next one, barbecue. Usually we say barbecue or we write it as B-B-Q. For them, it's Barbie. So you'll often hear the most common Australian phrase which says, throw some shrimps on the Barbie, mate. So they use that. The word mate. Oh my goodness. That is one word that they use all the time. Breakfast becomes brekkie. So that is another one that is shortened. McDonald's, something very common that we have. In America, they call it Mickey D's. In England or in the UK, it's McDonald's. There's no short form. They're very crisp. In Australia, it becomes Macca's.
Oh, that's interesting. So, Vishal, are there some online resources which listeners can use to practice understanding American, British, and Australian accents?
Yes, as we mentioned earlier, we'd give you some resources. So yes, I've already mentioned a few that you can use, which is YouTube, and I've mentioned some names and things like that. However, there are two very, very useful resources that you can use. The first one is called Dialects Archive. So if you do a Google search, it should be dialectsarchive.com. This particular website will give you a search of any accent in the world that you want. Not only accent, it also gives you the accent as per the region. Not only as per the region, but as per the gender of the person, because different genders speak differently. So male, female, they give you gender-wise, they give you age-wise. So you can hear the young people speak, you can hear the older people speak. They have also the scripts that you can look at and follow what they're saying. So that is one amazing resource. The second resource is ello.org. Now this is with 3 L's. So it's ELLO.org. This again gives you accents from all around the world. You can listen to them. You can watch videos. They have videos as well, a video resource. On the listening page, on the audio page, they've got 3 tabs at the bottom. One has got the script. So while you're listening, you can read the script. The second tab has got very useful idioms and phrases. So if you listen to an American, you'll get all the American phrases. If you listen to a Brit, you'll get all the Brit phrases. And the third tab has got a quiz that you can take if you want. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh wow, Vishal, it was an interesting journey to learn how to understand US, UK and Australian accent. Thank you, Vishal, for sharing all the knowledge and wisdom of yours.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, listeners, for listening to this podcast. We'll see you in the next episode, which is about 5 tips to speak like an American. I'm sure you're interested. So stay tuned and thank you.